Candice was sitting in her magnificent executive chair, twisting and turning, thinking about what to do with the council member who had smuggled magical research materials overseas. One of the communication ports that he had hidden in a drawer began to beep. It was impossible for Bernie, who had just returned, to have contacted her through the communication port, so only the communication port that connected to Ophelia remained. Candice quickly opened the drawer and activated the communication port. The space where her large, bespectacled figure was previously reflected suddenly revealed the face of a well-known friend. "Oh, Duchess. You've been calling me so often. What happens this time? I sent you a letter a few days ago, didn't you receive it? It seems like you don't know yet. Well, it will take a while to arrive." Ophelia spoke with a slightly excited expression from the other side of the mirror. Candice asked with a puzzled expression. "What don't you know?" "That's the question. I met Isla again. He came home yesterday, and when I woke up, I was so afraid that it wasn't a dream. So I ran to his room as soon as I woke up. But it wasn't a dream." Candice responded in the same voice. "Wow. Oh really? Excellent. Now I don't have to worry about anything." Candice spoke with joy at the surprising news. Knowing how much her friends and their husbands had suffered over the past decade, she felt like it was her own. But upon hearing his words, Ophelia's face darkened. It was a completely unexpected reaction. "What's happening? What's happening?" "It's just. Isla has a little problem. That's why I need your help. Can you see it in person and convince her? You're the only one I can trust." Ophelia bit her lower lip nervously, saying that she was a little uncomfortable sending such an important matter by letter. And Candice, who understood her friend's words, instantly erased her joy and became serious. "You need Isidore Haling's help. Did that son of a bitch Byron put a curse on Isla?" Ophelia's older brother, Isidore Haling, was a scholar among scholars who diligently studied magical theory, although he did not have much innate magical ability. Well, most people didn't know about his excellence because he hated standing out. And the field in which he excelled most was the theory of anti-curses. Ophelia didn't answer her question, but Candice realized that her silence meant affirmation. She seemed reluctant to even mention the curse on her daughter. "That makes sense. After 12 years, he finally found his daughter, but the sworn enemy who kidnapped her had now placed a curse on her. Don't worry. It's almost time to get off work, so I'll see him right away. It's his niece's business, so even the most reluctant will get to work." "Yes, thanks." Ophelia ended the call with a sad expression, and Candice, unable to contain her anger at Byron's wickedness, shouted, "Ugh! How could someone be so evil? Ugh, no. Let's calm down." Candice took a deep breath and tried to control her anger. He couldn't go see Isidore in that state of confusion. After all, she was the leader of this country. That's when he barely managed to control his rising anger and walked out. "Oh, Director. A letter has just arrived for you." Candice's secretary handed her a newly arrived envelope. It was handwritten by a close friend. "I guess this is the letter Ophelia was talking about." After thanking the secretary, she got into the carriage towards Isidore's house and opened her friend's letter. The letter passed without incident. It simply said that Isla had been found and that she and her husband would be returning home in a few days. But that short letter fully captured the emotion Ophelia felt writing it. His usually neat handwriting floated in the air. So it seemed to contrast more with the bitter expression on his face when he cut off the communication. It seemed that when he wrote it, he had no idea that a terrible curse was upon Isla. As Candice folded the letter and put it in her coat pocket, she felt her appetite suddenly sour, and the carriage reached its destination and stopped. "But I'm best friends with your younger sister, so you won't treat me coldly, right?" Candice scratched the back of her neck as she got out of the carriage. He knew Isidore from his research into magical theories, but they weren't close enough to go without contacting him. And luckily, Isidore's family welcomed her with open arms. Of course, not only because she is Ophelia's friend, but also because all of her children attended the National Academy of Magic. So to speak, it was a sudden visit from the academy director. "What brings you here?" Isidore asked, with a face similar to Ophelia's, but always with a cold expression, with a brusque voice. Unlike the other family members, he didn't seem very happy with Candice's visit. That. Normally she was one to say what she wanted to say without hesitation, but now she was feeling a little cautious. It was inevitable, given the importance of the message he was trying to convey. "If it's not important, we'll do it later. I have to pack my bags." And while she was pondering how to bring up the subject, Isidore opened his mouth, his face somewhat anxious. It was an expression that contrasted quite a bit with his usual image of a calm and exemplary student. "You? Where are you going?" Candice asked urgently, mouth agape. Where the hell was this heavy going? And at such a crucial moment. He didn't know where he was going, but he had to stop him right away. "She's a friend of Ophelia, Madam President, so she must have heard. Today I received a letter saying that my first missing niece has been found. I also couldn't visit Ophelia when her second child was born. I thought I'd take this opportunity to visit the Empire and see my nephews." Isidore responded with an awkward smile. He rarely saw her smiling face, but seeing it like this, didn't it look exactly like her sister's? However, that was not the important thing at the time. I came for nothing," Candice murmured with a lost look. She had come to convince him to visit the Palace Empire, but before she could convince him, he was already preparing to go. "No, this visit may not have been entirely useless. Instead of visiting your niece without knowing that she was under a curse, it would be better to know beforehand and go prepared." "Hey? What does it mean?" "Actually, Ophelia asked me." When Isidore, who had heard her murmur, asked with a shocked face, Candice relayed the information she had heard from Ophelia. Of course, he used an anti-eavesdropping spell to prevent anyone around him from eavesdropping. Maybe that's what happened. When Candice finished her explanation, Isidore stared into space, as if he had been quite surprised. She didn't know the exact circumstances because she lived in a different country than her younger sister, and they hadn't been in contact for a while. Byron was a villain beyond imagination. It was unfortunate that the only ones who suffered from such a villain were his younger sister and his daughter. It was really unpleasant. "We have to leave as soon as possible." Isidore jumped up from his chair as if he were ready to leave at any moment, even tonight. "Then I have to pack my bags, so I would like you to return." "Madam President." Yeah. Although she was forced to leave her house, Candice did not regret it. On the contrary, she felt relieved to have completed the mission that Ophelia had given her and to have boarded the carriage back. "Hey, Binka. You haven't forgotten this Sunday, have you?" At her partner's question, Binka, who was scrubbing, looked up and looked at her. "This Sunday? What has happened?" "I have the day off. Look at this. How can you forget it already? It's Judy's housewarming party, don't you remember?" When Binka asked with a bewildered expression, her companion responded with a sad face, as if asking how it was possible. They decided that they would all go together to the housewarming party of a former colleague who had worked as a maid in the palace, but had gotten married and resigned. Yes. But I'm sorry. I can't go. You know, I have to take care of my sick mother on my days off." "I know, but Judy has been so good to us all this time. Why can't you miss a single day?" The companion asked with an expression of regret. I don't think that will work." In fact, Binka had no intention of participating in such an Unproductive meeting, but she couldn't help but show a regretful expression. And the gift? We were going to raise money and buy a nice gift. But now everyone has paid except you. That seems impossible. You know that we are fair because medicines are expensive. Binka suppressed her suppressed irritation and looked pitiful. Even without that, the price of raw materials had risen, so he spent most of his salary on medicine. How could he afford to buy something like that as a gift for a maid who had just resigned? Of course, she was the one taking the medicine, not her mother. Oh, what can I do? I hope your mother gets better soon. Then I'll go wash the sheets. As the annoying and talkative colleague walked away, Binka abruptly dropped the rag she was washing, splashing water everywhere. Well, I guess they see me as on the same level because I work as a maid. I'm not the kind of person who would be here like this. He gritted his teeth and took out the medicine bottle he had hidden in his chest.